G'day legends, it's Jai that Aussie metal guy here. Before we get stuck into another great interview brought to you by Crannk.com and thatmetalstation.com, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe, and that way you can keep up to date with all the best music and interviews from all over the world. Hey, how you all going? It's Jai, that Aussie metal guy here with Crannk.com and with thatmetalstation.com. So tonight, wherever you are in the world, it's with great pleasure that I'm having a chat with Charlie LeDuc of Deformatory. Their latest EP, Harbinger, came out September 13th, just a couple of days ago. It's an absolute ripper. Charlie, cheers for joining me to have a chat about Deformatory, the latest EP.
Oh, likewise, man. Thanks a lot for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Nah, dude, absolute pleasure, man. I really dig the sound of you guys, Deformatory. When John Asher sent it over, and he's always got the finger on the pulse with the good bands he's representing. So I was just instantly blown away, went over to Bandcamp, grabbed all your music. But for the uninitiated, can you tell us a little bit about who Deformatory are and how you guys began?
Yeah, man, fair enough. So Deformatory, we're a death metal band from Canada. Nothing special about that. But we formed in 2010, officially under the name Deformatory. We started off initially in 2008 under a really terrible band name called Tual Masak, which I still don't really know what it means or anything like that. When I joined the fucking band, that's what it was called. And anyways, we did like a couple shows under that garbage name, and then the best thing that we could find was Deformatory after that. So, but yeah, man, we basically when we initially started out, we were a bunch of different guys who were really into different styles of extreme music, like from really techie and really brutal to really progressive and really weird. And we just tried to fuse and mash all of those elements together to create something, kind of new, or at least new in our scene. And that's what fused Deformatory in the very beginning. And, over the years, we've just taken those elements that work the best and have run wild with it, creating our own brand of crazy ass death metal that some people dig and most people just like can't withstand, and that's also really cool. So
that's the thing about death metal, though. People that don't understand or listen to it, they sit there and go screamo. I was having an argument with one of my guys at work. It's not fucking screamo the other day. I absolutely really enjoy it. And you guys started out as more, I think it was a 4 or a 5 piece, wasn't it? And you've kind of evolved into a 2 piece due to other various reasons. But the sound is absolutely huge, even as a duo. You and Neil just have this massive bloody sound, eh?
Oh man, thanks. Yeah, I mean, we were a 5 piece forever. For the longest up until about 2018 or so, and then we went down to 4. And then the pandemic hit, people's lives started changing. Our longtime bass player committed suicide. There was like a lot of things that kind of went down. And, even though we were always kind of like a 4 or 5 piece throughout all of our years, it was always Neil and I who were the core, songwriters, people propelling everything forward and that kind of stuff. So when push came to shove and it was just him and I left in the mix, we had already now had like a decade of chemistry working together, knowing what our limits are. And yeah, man, we're just plowing forward, like, we have tons of creative ideas, tons of things that we want to say and get out. And we're just forging ahead no matter what.
And what was the inversion of the Unseen Horizon? Was that the first one you've kind of done officially as a duo?
Yeah. That was last year's full-length album. Yeah.
Ripper.
And yeah, man, thanks. Yeah, it's a fun album. A lot of work went into that, and like a lot of crazy fucking concepts that went into that thing. But when like a good portion of those tracks, like maybe 3 or 4 of them, we had written and rehearsed when we had like a full band, right? Like we've been sitting on some of those tracks for a while. So Inversion is like an album that has like the last remnants of a full band with all of like the cohesive elements as a duo, right? So that was a unique album to do.
What was it like making that album as the duo? You'd obviously done it with the latest EP, but I wouldn't mind touching on what was it like making that first album as the pair of you guys sitting in there making that.
Yeah, man. The thing I think that was like the most challenging was obviously when it's down to two people, you have to divvy up the labor, right? And like, unfortunately, it's not like we're not a big band. You know, we don't have like hordes of people doing shit for us. Like, no one's like looking after the stupid social media accounts that we absolutely detest doing. No one's like doing the video editing for, like, you know, all this kind of stuff. So, you know, once we got the music out of the way, which is the part that we love, then we had to learn to do all the nitty gritty bullshit, right? Like, and I think that was kind of hard, or at least challenging, something we didn't really enjoy doing. But the thing that we pushed ourselves to do on Inversion was, it had been almost 5 years since we had released an album. Our previous album to Inversion was Malediction, came out in 2016, and we were on a label at that point, CDN. So they kind of CDN Records, and they had helped with a lot of things, and we dropped that and went purely independent. And so one of the things that we wanted to do was like, fuck, we've been kind of in the dark for like 5 years, so let's put out a whole metric ton of content to just kind of like over a year to just inundate people with the name so that we could build up the album, right? And Neil and I did an exorbitant amount of work of creating videos. We created, like, no one asked for it, but we did a whole like biography series on ourselves, an unknown death metal band, you know, like we're just like, fuck it, let's do it, let's put it out there, because then that's 10 videos for people to consume. You know, we wanted to do a music video for every song on the album, so okay, let's fucking do that. How are we going to make that happen? And, you know, we did all sorts of stuff like that that's super counterintuitive to us, and that goes against like our own interest. And I think out of everything that we could talk about that album, that was the most challenging. That's what pushed us out of our comfort zone the most, which was trying to be social creatures when we're like antisocial by nature. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. As an introvert, I chose a job as a bartender, and I do this as well. So, you know what I mean? After I do all this, and I'm sure you're the same, you just want to go back to your cave after a hard day of peopling and go fuck the world and crank up some Deformatory or some death metal. And just, you know what I mean? That's why when this Harbinger EP, I chucked that in, dude. And I was just, man, this is good. This is the soundtrack to my day at the moment.
Oh, fuck yeah, man. I'll tell you, after any type of interaction, and like whether it's professionally or like this, once it's over, I'm turning off the lights and I'm just chilling in the dark for a bit to fucking calibrate before I go interact with my wife or my kid or whatever, because it just takes so much out of me, you know what I mean, to do this stuff. But yeah, that was challenging, but it was good. At the same time, it was good for us. We learned a lot. We also learned, it's not so much that we learned like how to do this stuff, but we learned what was important to us. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of things that bands feel they have to do now because it's 2022 and every fucking kid's on TikTok jiggling their ass, and like every band's got to have us, 10 Instagram posts and let everyone know what the fuck they're eating for breakfast. And, you know, at the end of the day, we thought we kind of had to do that too, because like that, like if you're not with the times, like, you know, you could only get your things out so far. And we came to kind of decide how much of that we really wanted to do after Inversion. We realized that what we tried to do on Inversion was like not at all interesting or fun for us. It wasn't attainable for us to like sustain and keep our sanity. And we scaled back significantly for Harbinger. And we're going to scale back, or at least scale differently going forward as well.
And that's probably where it helps for a band, even though you're independent, working with a good PR or media like Asher. He's an unreal guy. And then someone like that can cut through all that social media bullshit and kind of take a little bit that weight off of you guys as well. So you can just concentrate on the music too. Yeah.
Yeah, man. You know, every bit helps, man. Every little thing, no matter how like insignificant it may seem, is all part of the piece. And, you know, and yeah, so having someone like Asher and other people that we have like kicking around, it's great. And then getting to chat with like awesome people like yourself who do like what you're doing, man. It's a labor of love. You know what I mean? Like, you're not rolling in the dough doing this shit. I mean, like, it's all love and it's all passion. Like, people don't get that stuff. Like, after this chat, you still got to edit. You still got to fucking do images. You got to push that shit out. You got to promote. You got to do all this stuff and then get on to the next one and get on to the next one. And like, if you're not into it, you know, fuck, why are you doing this? Because there's no money, no pussy or glory in death metal or extreme music, period. You know, like it's just,
that's why I'm a kindred spirit with all the guys I chat to. That's why, like the other day, I was chatting to Paul from Cannibal Corpse. I'm chatting to you because at the end of the day, it's an absolute labor of love. Like you said, we're not rolling in the money or anything after this. Before I done this interview, I had to take my kid to school, quickly run back, do this interview. After we do this, like you said, you're the same. Bands are the same. We do not make money out of this.
Exactly.
Purely do this for the love of it. So all that other bullshit that comes with it sometimes just gets a bit much. The Harbinger EP, tell us a little bit about making this EP, man, because it's an absolute stomper, man. I think it's like 15 minutes and 17 seconds, but it does not let up on that accelerator right till the end.
Oh, right on, man. Yeah, that's exactly like what we want people to feel from that. You know what I mean? Harbinger, we obviously we just released Inversion last year, and like almost a year to the day we put out Harbinger. So within a year we did all this stuff, recorded, did video, did all that shit. But we wrote Harbinger pretty much concurrent to Inversion. As soon as Inversion was done, as soon as we were done in the studio and we were like now waiting for the promotion of the stuff to happen, you know, like once an album is done, then you got to wait for your CDs, your vinyl, all that stuff to come in, all your videos to get done. And, you know, you're holding on to a finished product for almost a year sometimes, right? Before you start fucking bombarding people and your friends with like, hey, listen to my fucking crazy, shitty band. But yeah, so during that time, we always are writing. Neil and I are always jamming. So we're not like I'm not a band where like I pick up my guitar at home and write full songs or write stuff in Guitar Pro, or I don't record riffs at home. I never have time to pick up this guitar. Like, unfortunately, it's more of like an art piece in my home than it is like an actual tool. So, and Neil's the same. Neil's a busy guy. So we meet up every single week, no matter fucking what, no matter how tired we are, no matter how busy shit is. And we meet up every single week and we crank the volume on everything in the rehearsal space. And we write in the room, we record our crappy ideas. And for the most part, when we're in the pocket, songs come out in one piece. Like on Harbinger, song number 2, Corpseborn. If I go find the demo from like a year ago that we wrote the first night where we just were jamming and it came out, nothing's changed from it, aside from maybe now there's a solo and vocals and stuff like that. A lot of our songs happen that way. They just come out in a jam or two, and maybe we work on it for a little bit afterwards, and that's how our shit comes out. So with Harbinger, we wrote everything when the pandemic was like at its worst, right? Where everything was locking down and opening up, and there's all sorts of bullshit, like just like you guys, like you guys had it like it was just nuts for Australia.
I think Melbourne was the most locked down city in the world. Like
yeah,
in Victoria there.
Yeah, you guys didn't fuck around, man. You guys just like been like, we don't care. No one, no tourists, no commerce. Just fucking keep your virus out of here.
Sure as fuck, not Johnny Depp's dog either.
Exactly. Yeah. Fuck. But and Canada was like Canada, our leader's an idiot, right? Like Trudeau's a fucking clown. So like everything was upside down here, and I'll tell you, without getting into too much of it, what we brought into the rehearsal space was frustration. You know what I mean? Like for me personally, I really fucking hated the fact that we were being told what to do all the time. And the goalpost was constantly being moved. Like, okay, 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Oh, another 2 weeks. Oh, get one vaccine and then you could live your life back. Never mind, it's 2. Oh, it's fucking booster. It's like 6 fucking boosters. There's always something else that kept going on. And then every once in a while, because it was politically charged, they would be like, okay, everyone, you've been all really good boys and girls. Now you could go enjoy patio. You could go Christmas shopping. Your life comes back to normal. And then all of a sudden, fucking they shut everything down again, right? And it was this kind of constant push and pull.
Yeah.
And personally, I felt like I was in a cage being poked with a stick, and I was fucking angry as hell. I was pissed off. I want to lash out, all those emotions. But because I'm like, you know, a relatively decent human being with a family, I can't just go fucking postal. You know what I mean? Like I can't actually take that anger and rip someone's face off. It's just not viable. So we took that shit and we brought it into the jam space, and all of that emotion that came from that period of time is what we poured into the music. You know what I mean? And the lyrics themselves reflect that. The whole EP is about what I believe was occurring globally with this stuff, the bigger plan, whatever you want to think about. And also just like the fucking sheer lunacy and stupidity of everything that went down. Yeah. And I poured it out just to get it out of my system, man. Otherwise I was rotting from the inside with anger. And bottom line, that's what Harbinger is all about. It's, you know, we could dive into the weeds about all the elements, but fundamentally, we just want people to feel what you felt when you heard it, man. It's just like relentless. It's fucking intense, and it won't let up, because that's what we felt was going on, man.
Yeah, it's an absolute ripper of an EP, man. And I noticed that the Parasite coming back into that. So immediately I knew, man, this is, really, really bloody cool, man. Tell me a little bit about working with Top on Dust, man, at Apartment 2 recording.
The guy's an absolute gem. Nothing but great things to say. I mean, Neil and I have been fans of his band Fuck the Facts forever. And, you know, we've been listening to that band for as long as they've been around, and we love his stuff. And in the local scene here in Ottawa, Canada, like Topon's just like a staple, you know, like he's like, I don't know, he's like 85 years old. I don't know how old he is. He's fucking ancient. He's been around forever. And you know, yeah, man, the guy's just like this old sage, right? He's like Gandalf of the metal scene here in Ottawa. And you know, he would do sound at the metal bars when shows would come in, and you would know that it was Topon behind the board that night, because everything actually sounded good. Like even the local bands sounded good. And like that's just the kind of guy that he is. Like he'll put 100% in every person, every band, doesn't care, doesn't have an ego, like none of that stuff. And working with him at Apartment 2 was nothing short of all of those qualities with him. He's incredibly creative, super laid back, and puts 100% into everything that he does. And to be honest, the thing that we really liked with him is, and well, Neil and I write unconventionally. You know, we don't do Guitar Pro, but we also don't do click tracks. We don't follow a metronome. We're fucking old. Like we don't know and don't want to know how to do that stuff. So when we recorded Inversion with him and then with Harbinger, we said we're not doing it to a click track. In fact, like the drums are recorded with me playing the guitar with Neil in the room at the time. It's kind of like a live off the floor kind of thing, you know, like that's the vibe. Because, you know, when you see us at a show, or if you check us out, like that's what we feed off of. We love that not everything's in tempo and things are fucking veering off the rails a bit. We love that stuff. So, and you don't get many producers nowadays who want to do that, because it's fucking more work for them. You know, they can't just copy paste shit and like throw on like you know, like a sampled drum, you know, like every modern band that comes out now. And we really like that about Topon, that despite his preferences, he wants us to do a click track. You know, he's willing to work with us so that we get the sound that we want and we get the vision that we're going for. And man, we just really appreciate it. And I think the results speak for themselves. I think it sounds great.
Yeah, it does. Charlie, I'm going to get you to pick 2 tracks off of the EP for me to play with the show on the radio, and why you're picking those 2 tracks, mate.
All right, man. So I'm going to go with Corpseborn, track number 2. Reason is, man, it's just fucking heavy as hell. That's the song. That's like the first song that we really wrote that like propelled the whole fucking thing forward. And there's there's a part in that song, man, where it breaks down towards the end, where it's just sheer heaviness. And I remember when we came up with that part, man, Neil and I, we in the demo, like we must have played that section for 5 minutes. You know, the track is not even 5 minutes long, but we got into that so much, and afterwards we felt so good. It's like we needed to get that, whatever that was, out of our system. And there's a lot of hateful shit in there, like lyrically. So I would say Corpseborn for that reason. And then I would say Sun Rot, the next track after, they bleed into each other. And the way that Sun Rot starts, starts off kind of nice and melodic, and almost it doesn't really fit the rest of the album. And I threw in like a fucking Guns N' Roses solo, like at the beginning of that track, because that was like around the time where things were opening up and, our freedom was coming back, and it felt like, the skies were opening up. We could see people, we could see our family again. And then all of a sudden the fucking walls came crashing in again. And that's how the song starts, man. Like it opens up, you're feeling nice, you're feeling like a bit of breath of fresh air, and then all of a sudden the fucking mania hits you once again. And we know that people feel that, and that's what we were feeling at the time during the pandemic. So
yeah, definitely a crazy time. And interesting side note, man, because I'm an English nerd snob. That was my thing, man. Every track on that album is like a portmanteau. It's like two words to create the one, man.
Yeah, man. There's tons of like shit like that we do throughout. You know what I mean? Like, and we want to do something that's like the polar opposite to Inversion. If you look at the titles and on Inversion of the Unseen Horizon, it's the most batshit crazy stuff that we could come up with. Right. And we just took it and went super simple in Harbinger, and we wanted to combine two elements, something that was beautiful, something that was kind of dark, or something that, we had like this whole idea behind it as well, because we felt that everything just in the world was a polarization of itself. You know what I mean?
I get it. I'm glad I asked that. I was unsure whether to ask that. And something that's beautiful and violent, the covers, man, I love the cover, man, you've got for this. It's an absolute ripper, dude, as is the cover for all your stuff. But man, I've got to mention this one because it's the latest EP. Tell us a little bit about who done that.
So we got Paolo Girardi, painter from Italy, who like needs no introduction. One of our favorite artists of all time. We were super stoked to finally get to work with him. We waited like a billion years, but it was so worth the wait, man, because as soon as he got into it, he dove into it like head first, like I've never seen any artist do. And he captured everything that we wanted. We wanted something that was still a little cosmic, because we, when we're talking about the anger and frustration from the pandemic, it's not about ourselves. We believe we actually tapped into like a fucking global frustration. Everyone was feeling it. You were feeling it. Everyone was feeling it. It was fucked up. And we believe we tapped into that energy when we were writing stuff, man. Like I don't know, we're not like that fucking spiritual, but we believe that we tapped into something there, and it's really powerful. And Paulo tapped into that as well. And his color palette for something so horrifying was exactly what we wanted. A beautiful juxtaposition to the absolute crazy madness that was infiltrating our own worlds and the world in general.
Yeah, it's an amazing cover. Like some of these death metal albums, especially this Harbinger one, because it's one we're talking about. I could put that on my bloody wall as a piece of art, man. Not a bloody problem. That would look great as a flag. Is there somewhere people can get along and support you guys, buy some merch? I do have a couple of links as well. I think it's deformatory.ca as well. Yeah,
deformatory.ca just redirects you to our Bandcamp page, which is where we're currently just streamlining everything. So any merch that we have, that's it, man. That's it. So anything you want that we have, it's there.
That's the best place to do it. Yeah, you can stream, and I'm okay with streaming. I've reached a point where it's like, I bitched about Spotify for the first few years. I can't Spotify all these up on you. It's great to get those streams up for people to go over and listen to you, but it's, for people to go over and buy the physicals, the vinyls, the albums, the shirt, the merch, it's real support, getting along to these shows. Yeah, it's supporting, listening to these shows, but going along and buying the album, man, you could go along and buy your whole collection there for a decent bloody price on Bandcamp. You've got a good quality as well. So,
well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, every little bit helps, and we know that not everyone can afford stuff, and the shipping rates, unfortunately, for an independent band, like we're not Hot Topic or fucking Jeff Bezos. Like we can't give everyone free shipping Prime, and we know shit's expensive, so that's why you could buy all of our digital albums. Name your price. All of our stuff is available on YouTube. You could stream the whole album, every album there, on Spotify, iTunes, all those things. Everything's available. But if you have a few extra shekels and you like what you hear, man, it goes a long way. It just goes towards whatever new shit we're cooking up with.
It goes towards making the next album. And speaking of YouTube, you've done the whole EP as a music video. What was it like doing that? Did you just get in there and jam it all out in one go? Or
that's it, man. Yeah, we just set it up at our rehearsal space. We threw up some fucking black sheets. We ripped some black sheets that my wife doesn't know about. And then, set up a few lights, a few cameras, ran through the songs a couple times. And then Neil and I edited together. I went on a dark web fucking image, video search for some crazy shit that tied in well to like imagery that I wanted. And we put together, man. We just wanted like, we didn't release any singles for this promo thing, which is a bit, John, we're talking about like promo guy, like, he was like crying a bit about it. Like, oh man, that's not what people do. Like you have to put out a single here. Like people aren't going to like listen to it. We're like, don't give a fuck. This is what we want to do. Back in the day, we're old enough that we remember like if there's an album was coming out, right? You would see the fucking ad in the magazine, like fucking Metal Maniacs, Hit Parade or whatever. The fucking new Deicide album, Once Upon a Cross, is coming out on this date, 1995. You were waiting outside the music store after school or whatever the fuck to buy that CD. There was no singles, no Spotify, TikTok ball teasers. It's like you fucking waited for the album. You got hyped for it. And, we just tried to force that a little bit on this album. And at the same time, just release everything as one whole video, one whole experience, everything as one go. And yeah, time will tell if we did the right thing. We don't really care. That's kind of what we want to do. And that's that,
Looks like it's going along well, man. Harbinger is an absolute ripper. It did come out a couple of days. Go check out all of Deformatory's music, guys. Put it in the stereo. Turn up really loud. The neighbors are going to want to hear it as well. Charlie, do you have any last words, shout outs, thank yous, or anything I may have forgotten you'd like to add in there, my friend?
I just want to say thank you to you. Honestly, man, labor of love, like we talked about, but it's also really cool to meet people who like actually listen to this stuff. We saw that you bought our stuff, like, which is crazy. You should have just, sent us a message. Most people would be like, hey man, I'm going to do a podcast with you. Can you hit me up with some free shit? You didn't do that. You're legit. You're the fucking real deal. You're as true as they come. And honestly, it means a lot to us getting to chat with real fucking people, not sycophants, not fucking trendy cocksuckers. You're the real deal. And I love it, man. So thank you.
Absolute pleasure, my friend. Legend. Cheers, mate. You take it easy.
Cheers, brother.
Mate, hey, fucking my man, fucking Jobber, that fucking metal guy, motherfucker, fucking killing that shit.